Bev from Bee Crafty, and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on YouTube, that was the raw way, I go live and we do some crafting with some of my favourite Bee Crafty products, which is very, very easy because all of the Bee Crafty products are my favourite products, because that's what happens when you draw what you like and make products that you like. They are all become your favourite. Sorry about that. Okay, so tonight we're going to be doing some art journaling. I am going to be working in my pink book. If you haven't seen that before, it's this book. It's sort of like an old notebook that I found. And in this book, I'm trying to be really neat and tidy and leave like a border around each page. So that's what we're going to be working in. So basically what I do is I build the page outside the book and then put it in. Hello, Moira. Hello, Alison. So that is the plan. So I thought what I would do tonight as well is I would use this week's Bee Crafty Palette. Again, if you haven't seen, what I've been doing this year is every Monday, so far, I have been launching the Bee Crafty Palette 2026. So what I do is I put out 5 colours that hopefully work together. I have thrown in a few oddballs every now and then already. Well, it just likes to challenge the old creative noodle. So this week's palette is really, really beautiful. And what I do is I put together every week. If you go onto the Bee Crafty Instagram channel, or to be fair, if you check out the posts out right here on YouTube, what I do is I put out the palette and then I put out a series of pictures where I have picked out some distress colours that work, some eco lines that work, distress ink and Oxide and whatever, so that you can work with those. But what I will say is with that Bee Crafty palette, it's not... You don't have to use it as an absolute, okay? For example, these are the Distress Oxide colours I have picked out that I think work best for my collection with this week's Bee Crafty palette. But if you don't have those, okay, but you have others that you think will work, will do the job, that's absolutely fine. Oh, sorry, I've lost my comments. That's absolutely fine. It's really just to give you that leaping off point, just that little kick up the creative chuffer to get you going, okay? So don't think, oh, well, I don't have Distress Oxide Villainous Potion, so I can't do it. Of course you can. Just pick another deep purple that you have and go with it. These are just to give you an idea of the Distress Oxides that I have in my collection that I think will go best with this week's Bee Crafty palette, okay? So this is what I do every week. I'm not expecting you all to do this, by the way. You know, there is a slight, that I appreciate there does have to be a slightly larger commitment from myself. After that, so for example, these are some of the eco lines I've picked out that go with this week. And this is some of, then I've got some little mini distress inks here because I have a larger collection of mini distress than I do of the full size distress inks. Okay, but then I make up some stamped images. Now, in order to coordinate, you'll be, honestly, the people that know me best will be very impressed with the level of organisation here, I won't lie. Okay, so the Bee Crafty challenge this month on the Bee Crafty Stamps group on Facebook that Sally has set for you is using Bee Crafty journaling essentials, okay? There is lots of sets of journaling essentials, and I know most of you Bee Craftiers have at least one set, so it's making projects using those. Now for this challenge, you can do ATCs, cards, journal pages, tags, whatever tickles your pickle, okay? But what I thought was I would use the palette this week, because I do use the Doodle art a lot to showcase the palette because they're so easy to colour and they work with so many colours, you know. So this week what I've done though is I've only used journaling essentials. Okay, and I've also done a card using the journaling essentials too. So I'm trying to give you inspiration all round for the challenge. And then again, for the palette. Okay. Okay, so Alison in this week's palette has used a really deep blue instead of a purple. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Purple, that's one of those words I still struggle to say without a slightly Scottish twang. So what I've done is I have used one of the grayscale pages from Catalyst Cards set 2. because I have to be honest, I think these pages give a really nice background for when you're building, because your inks still go onto them really, really well, but it just gives you that hint of something, so you're not starting with that blank page, which I think can be really intimidating sometimes when you are just, you know, trying to get some colours down and get started. Okay. So again, Alison today has done a lovely, lovely project using Journaling Essentials. So we are really trying to give you all the inspiration we can to boost you for both the palette and the challenge. So go ahead and have a go. Look at what's being made and give it a go with whichever Journaling Essentials you have, and some of the palette too. All right, so I've got a little blending mat here. It's been slightly bent. I did slightly heat it, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just not going to worry about it because I can't unheat it. So here we are. All right, and I'm going to lay down some, see? I'm going to go with some Twisted Citron. Let's go really zingy to start. Let's really get some vibrant colours in there, and then we'll work our way out. All right, so let's give that a little spritzy spritz. I'll point the spritzer to the ink. That will assist me greatly. All right, and then we're just going to put our paper down on there and just get a little bit of colour on, and then that just, it gives us that start. Okay, obviously if you've got a selection of the Catalyst cards and you think I've got, you know, because they are made, the basics of the Catalyst cards are made using distress ink, so they will coordinate with those. And obviously, if you're making for the challenge, you don't have to stick to the palette. Sorry, you don't have to stick to the Bee Crafty palette for the challenge. It is just the Journaling Essentials that is the actual challenge. Okay, so let's get that on there. Give that a little heat. Now this is going to bend a little bit, so your Catalyst cards are printed on sort of like a lightweight cardstock. It's heavier than paper, but it's, you know, it's not too heavy that you can't use it, for example, to layer up on the front of cards and things like that. Okay, so we'll take that off there, and then we're going to go in with a couple more colours. But I have to be honest, I'm absolutely loving this zingy vibe we've already got going on. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do a little bit of Villainous Potion up the top here, and then maybe some prize ribbon down here. So in my mini distress, for example, I've used Chip Sapphire, not prize ribbon, and for my eco line I used a deep ultramarine. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be these are the colours. These are just the colours I'm giving you, just to give you a bit of a little go. Okay, so I'm going to go into this top corner. You do have to be careful with purple. It's a dangerous colour, especially when mixing with something like the Twisted Citron. You are liable to get a little bit of a brown, but that's okay. Oh, that's sort of proper paint splashy now. Beautiful. Stunning. I love these paint drips. They're so pretty. Okay, so we're going to just... Oh. You gotta love my heat tool. Add a little bit of a rev up there. Lovely. Hello to everybody that's just joined in. Are you having a nice evening? I have to say, even with all the cloudiness that we're currently experiencing, and shall we say excessive precipitation, I couldn't help but notice how much lighter this evening was. You know, you could tell the light was just here that little bit later, even though, you know, it's overcast and yucky. It was still definitely lighter, and I think that really does help, doesn't it? It helps just feel a bit more, ooh. Even with this amount of rain, it might be out of sight, it might be coming to an end. Here we go. So, do you see what I mean? So if this had been a blank piece of paper or card to start, it can be quite intimidating. But even though, because we've added that colour on, and you've still got that lovely big Doodle Art Gerbera feature in the back, you've still got those details just to give you that bit of extra texture. Absolutely stunning. Okay, so then we're going to wipe that off. I will say, if I were crafting, I would probably find a book or a piece of paper and slam that on there. Right, I'm going to go for, I've still got my set 2 of Dinkables out. I've been using these a lot. I think sometimes it's nice to go back to some earlier things, isn't it? And just really sort of enjoy them a lot. And I've really been enjoying using my set 2. So, absolutely stunning. Now from here, I'm going to take my Villainous Potion again. And I'm going to go straight on to, I'll do it on here, it'll be easier. I'm going to go straight onto my Dinkables template here, like that. If you are not a fan of getting inky fingers and things like that, I would possibly say wear gloves or something for this. But to be fair, you'll probably be neater doing it than me anyway. I'm a messy crafter. I get covered. So we're just going to mist that. Okay, and we're going to go straight down onto this lighter section here. Again, you can get a spare piece of card if you want. Just sort of rub that on so you can apply a nice even pressure. I'm going to lift that off. And then we're going to get that lovely negative detail. We'll drop it down again. And drop it down again. Might as well use all of that ink if we can. Okay. And again, we're just going to grab our heat tool. And just dry that off. Now, when it comes to adding ink to card or paint to card or anything like that, I am very much a more is more person. I know a lot of people like to maintain some of that white space and whatever, and I will say I absolutely love the effect. I'm just not exceptionally great at achieving it. It always feels incomplete when I do it, so I tend to go for a more is more approach. But as I always say, I'm here to show you what I do. It's not a hard and fast set of rules, you know. So here we go. That's the beautiful thing about papercraft, isn't it? So I'm absolutely loving where this background's going, which is nice. I do like that. I do like that. I'm going to go back into my Dinkable set 2 and we're going to add in some circles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a cracked pistachio and just try and lighten some of that up, bring a bit more lightness back in. You could also go in with a texture paste, something like that. Lots of things you can do. Obviously the circles I have used texture paste with a lot. That's why they're all covered in texture paste. But this is one of the fabulous things about Oxides. Obviously I can take my cracked pistachio and layer it over a purple, and that lovely cracked pistachio colour shows up absolutely beautifully. Whereas if you're using your regular distress, that is not going to work. You really need to go from light to dark. We're going to add that in a couple of areas, and that is absolutely beautiful. Do you know what? I'm going to add in even more. I'm going to go, I've literally just said I do more is more, so I have nothing. I have no need to hold back, do I? I just wanted some of the dots on top of those diamonds I thought would look really, really good. Okay, so you can see by just adding on those inks and a couple of Dinkables how we've really built so much ink and pattern all over that piece of Catalyst card. Okay, now we're going to get it over with now, so you might as well make your piece with it. I'm going to go around and do my faux stitch around the edge. It's got to be done, so we might as well do it now. Okay. I'm positive there are people who have been watching me for several years that are like, at some point she's going to get bored of this faux stitch. All I'm saying is I wouldn't hold your breath. If anything, it's become more ingrained in me over time. Like, I now can't not do it. It sort of has to be done. I can't help it. It's a compulsion. But a good one, I think. I think you can have a lot worse ones. Has anyone had a chance to do much crafting yet this month? I know it's obviously just cracking on. It's the 10th. I don't know about you, but time is just barreling forward at the minute. So I totally understand. It's been so busy. But as per usual, if you are making anything with any of my stamps or stencils or anything like that, make sure you tag Bee Crafty in your social. So it's Bee Crafty Stamps here on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And it's Bee Crafty 1 on TikTok because we have to start a new account. Which is growing slowly. So it's always nerve-wracking starting something like that from scratch, which is why I've tried for so long to get the old one back. But there comes a point where it's like, I've got videos I want to upload. Let's just go again. I've added lots of extra sort of security to that one, so hopefully I won't lose this one. Okay, of course it's half term next week, isn't it, Alison? I have school-age children. I should have remembered that. Never mind. Okay, so here we are. Faux stitch all around. See, it takes a minute. Why wouldn't I add it on when it looks so fabulous? All right. Now, this page has, I won't lie, gone a little bit darker than perhaps I planned. But that's all right. That's okay. There's a little bit more villainous potion, I think, because I added so much on here, but that's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Fussy Cut Journaling Essentials box, and we're going to have a look and see what we want to add on. Now, I'm thinking some flowers, maybe. Let's go for the rule of 3 and go for some, like, 3 different ones, which is very sort of on theme with how I did my card. So if it's feeling a bit samey, I'm sorry, I can change it. I've got some other, could do some big leaves, couldn't we? We could do 2 and do some big leaves. They're quite cool. I did have another one. Add sort of like a lighter one on that side to really zhuzh it up a little. That's quite fun. I've also got some journaling essentials. This has become one of my favourite things at the minute. In here, just in white, that would be excellent. I might just take that one off for just a second. And just adding in maybe a little bit of white again. I have to say as well, the journaling essentials are great for layering up. So for example, you can take something like this flower head and layer up on top of this one, or you know, adding that centre in, because that's really pretty. Or even adding in that one. It's a bit funky. Pretty much fits perfectly over the top. So definitely have a play and mix those sort of things up if that's something you like to do. All right. So I think I'm going to leave those ones out for now. I think they're the potentials right now, and we'll keep that out. What we're going to do is we're going to just add in a bit of stamping to the background, I think. I might even do a little bit of white embossing just to knock some of that back a little. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get my heat tool and we're going to really sort of dry this out. while I'm thinking about adding on some white embossing. Alison, honestly, I feel at the minute, this year, 2026 especially, I'm doing things on a Tuesday and you're going, oh, I've got that plan for the blog on Sunday. It's like we're completely in sync. And now, I will say, Alison is much more organised than I. But we are most definitely not in cahoots. Cahoots, I tell you. Okay. Oh, that could be just enough. Of Journaling Essentials number 2. I'm thinking these squares here, we could add those on, add just sort of like a hint of white, and see if that's going to just take it back a little. That would be rather fab. Right, so. All right, and a so there. Check me out. I'm going to put that on there. And we're going to get VersaFine. And a piece of card to catch the excess. And we're also going to need some white embossing powder. But I'm actually going to use my Snowflake Tinsel embossing powder because I've only got a little bit of my white ultrafine left and I have loads of this. And if that's not a good enough reason, well, it doesn't actually change anything because I'm still going to do it. What can I say? Right, so, oh, that's another right and a so. I am so sorry. I will stop saying it when I can. Right, so we'll VersaFine that up. That's not going to make it easier to stamp on there. A secondary uneven surface. So, I'm going to go down there. And then I think I can just about see where it is. So I'm going to add on another row so it goes all the way. And then I'm just going to add on sort of a little bit there. And we're going to take our Snowflake Tinsel. And tap off the excess. And I've actually done a better job of drying than usual because only a little bit has stuck. I don't mind a little extra sticking. I think it can give some really nice texture and what have you. But if, you know, you can use anti-static bags and that if you really don't want any excess coming on. You see as that changes, it comes a lovely bright white. It sort of pops up. And this is where the Journaling Essentials just really sort of, because they've got so many different bits and textures and sections and little additions that you can add into areas. You know, that bit looks a bit blank, I want to add something in. That bit, you know, I want to add something extra in. And they've got all of those that you can just put in as and when you like. Okay. And then a bit of white Posca, because, you know, I am still here. And I'm going to go in and add a little bit in between some of these dots. I may be covering these up, but it's one of those things I don't know yet. So I want to add in this now. So I don't forget, I'm going to add in couple of those. I should have done these. I've got a stamp that does this. That would have been good, really embossed as well, but that's okay. I'll add in a few more dots here, just to give me some peace of mind that there is that we've brought some back where I want it to be. Right, now this is where I think the really good bit is. So we're going to turn this over. We're going to get some double-sided tape and put this down on here. It's amazing, isn't it? I can talk through nearly everything I'm doing apart from double-sided tape. That requires absolute concentration. There we go. And now we're going to move this out of the way and we're going to get my book. And go to my blank page. So I want to say this was the week 3 palette. But someone might have to check my work in there. Okay. And then once you stick it in, look how all of a sudden it looks really neat and tidy because it's got that edge to it. Absolutely marvellous. Okay. So I'm thinking, right, I'm going to take those off and I'm going to apply these first. So, thinking that one. Now, it does have a natural curve to it. I'm going to see if I can make it stand up straight. But we'll see. If it doesn't, it's okay. I will be okay with it. So all of the stamps I'm using are from the Journaling Essentials, so you can find them on the website. In the art stamp section. I have noticed today, and I just didn't get a chance to go and rectify it, some of them are in the backgrounds and borders section, but not all of them. So I will try and get to that, but for now, all of the Journaling Essentials you'll find in the art stamp section of the website. Okay, oh see, I've made that go quite nice. Right, now this one, I'm going to get my little snippety snip scissors and I'm going to take this leaf off just there. So I haven't taken it all off, just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. And just, I will say, these, whilst yes, are a little bit fussy cutty, they're not quite as bad as you think they're going to be, because they do look rather heinous. But they're, is it to cut out? But they're actually not that bad. Alrighty. So I'm just double checking that I actually want to do them the way I've said. You Yes, I do. I'm going to put the spiky flower with the pointy leaves and the rounded flower with the rounded leaves. Or is that a bit trite? No, that's what I'm going to do. So the flowers from the Journaling Essentials, they have been coloured in. So this one is from Journaling Essentials number 9. But they have been coloured in with a mix of eco lines and watercoloured with distress. So it's a real sort of, it's a real mix. I'm going to put those on there. Right, now I'm thinking about this right here. Right, we're going to take one and we're going to go straight up the middle, and then we're going to cut that one into quarters. But you could also actually go over and make it like a photo corner, couldn't you? This would be good. I suppose that is what it looks like, really, a little photo corner holding it in. Shall I do one on each corner? That would be cute. And then they look like little photo corners holding the page in. That is fun. Okay, now we need some wordy stickers. So let me just get my folder. Sorry. Okay. Bill and Ted vibes. I know. Sorry about that. There are strange things afoot at the Circle K. All right. I said that to someone the other day. There are strange things afoot at the Circle K. It was actually my eldest nephew. And he said, I've got no idea what you're talking about. It's all right, though. Let's have a look. Here we go. Whoop. Let's go for... Be happy today. You have the power. So again, I'm going to go with white stickers on this one for a couple of different reasons. One, like I say, the background went a little bit darker than planned, and I realise I've said that more than once on a try it out Tuesday. Like what did I say? I get ink happy, and whatever. But also, I like when I'm doing journal pages for them to you know, if it's not a dual layout, double layout, which in fairness I haven't done for a while. I like them to be, for want of a better description, to be obviously made by me, but different. So for example, this one has a black 3-piece wordy sticker on it. So to have a white 3-piece wordy sticker on this one will be quite good. Now, it is a 3 sticker one, and I want to put it in this gap here, so I am trimming these ones right down. I didn't trim these ones down, and it's a similar space, but I don't want to cover up the background. I just want to highlight it a little. And the thing is, if you still look at that background, you can still see those gerberas that are printed on the Catalyst card in the grayscale. So, you know, that hasn't been lost. It's still there. But I will say, if you do use the grayscale Catalyst cards and you end up covering up quite a lot of the pattern, it's really okay. I think one of the great, like I say, one of the fab things about them is because they're not plain and it can be a bit easier to get going. That is the point of your Catalyst card, to, you know, really become a catalyst for your creativity. So you've got a starting point. All right. So, like I said, I'm so sorry I couldn't do a live last week, but it was Abby's birthday and we were going out. I'm going to go with Be Happy today. You have the power. All right. I do feel like I need to add something to these leaves here. I feel like they need a little something. So I'm going to grab my turquoise green Eco line, and I'm going to try something and decide after I've done it if I like it or not. Couldn't decide, so I'll have to do it again and again and again and again. Not sure. Don't hate it though. But it's just something, you know. There we go. Maybe get my fine liner. Little hearts on. I could say it's because Valentine's Day is coming up, but that would imply I wouldn't do little hearts next week, which I would. Oh, that's good. I'll do a little. But again, there is lots of little art journaling stamps you could use in those leaves as well if you wanted. Might just do a little line down here. I'm very close to having done more than I want to do. But I've committed now, so it's fine. That's it, I'm going to stop. Okay, so this, like I say, is using the palette. It would also be a great addition to the challenge in the Bee Crafty Stamps group because it is using the journaling essential stamps. As always, the creative team are also online making fabulous, beautiful things using Bee Crafty products. So if you see that, please interact with their posts. And also if you see anything from Bee Crafty, be that on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or right here on YouTube, that you do interact with it in some way. And if you do have time, if you could just leave us a little comment, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like you're getting lots of inspiration to have a go at this month's challenge, and also this week's palette actually. But I will say, if you have If you're only just finding out about the palette and you want to go and have a look at the other weeks, you can check that out either on Instagram. There is a Bee Crafty palette. There is a palettes highlight, so you can go in and check all the previous palettes. They are also on the Facebook page and in the Facebook group, so you can go and check those out there as well. Don't feel like, oh, it's week 6, so you have to do week 6. I mean, I have to say this seems to be a very popular palette, but if you do want to go back and look at some of the other ones and see if they maybe talk to you a little bit more, absolutely do that. You can still hashtag Bee Crafty Stamps on the Instagram and Facebook socials, etc., and I will see that. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to spend it with me, and I hope that has given you a little bit of a boost or a jump to go and have a go and make a page yourself. All right, guys, bye.